Have you ever imagined standing on a quiet dirt runway when suddenly a bizarre machine no bigger than a riding lawnmower roars to life and violently tears into the sky right in front of your eyes? Picture this, an experimental aircraft that weighs less than a grown man, yet packs enough raw thrust to rip you through the clouds at terrifying speeds. Are these microscopic flying machines the ultimate masterpieces of mechanical engineering, or just the death trap toys of absolute madmen? Today we are uncovering the 10 smallest, most shocking microplanes ever built. Stick around until the very end. Because the machine sitting at the number 1 spot doesn't even look like an airplane. It looks like a biomechanical creature that escaped a laboratory. Let us step back into the 1950s. Imagine you are an aviation enthusiast, but you also love fishing on remote, isolated lakes. Designer Volmer Jensen had a wild idea. What if you bolted a pair of fabric wings onto a fiberglass canoe? The result is the VJ-22 Sportsman, an amphibious flying boat that looks like a backyard experiment gone incredibly right. It is powered by an 85-horsepower engine. This engine sits in a pusher configuration mounted unusually high above the main wing. Now, take a close look at the engineering of this unusual watercraft. You have to ask yourself a serious question. How does a heavy boat hull with a heavy engine mounted that high not instantly flip over the moment you hit the throttle on the water? It completely defies your standard center of gravity logic. Yet it works beautifully on the water. It was specifically designed for the weekend explorer. Those who wanted a reliable, real solution to landing on lakes without needing an actual runway. Jensen originally built this as a personal passion project, but it quickly became a highly sought-after design for home builders across America who wanted adventure. It was a true pioneer in recreational flying boats, but while a tiny flying boat is charming, practical, and still looks somewhat like a traditional airplane, our next machine proves you do not even need a proper factory to take to the skies. You just need a backyard garage, some plywood, and a serious amount of bravery for this next ride. Welcome to the ultimate do-it-yourself garage builder's dream originating from the 1980s. The Team Minimax is a pint-sized nostalgic warbird that weighs less than a modern Harley-Davidson motorcycle. Think about that for a second. You are flying a machine with an empty weight of around 400 pounds. This little single-seater was designed specifically so that ordinary guys could build it in a cramped one-car garage using only basic woodworking tools. We are talking wooden ribs, simple fabric skin, and a very cheap engine. When you sit inside the cockpit, you can probably still smell the fresh sawdust and wood glue from your own garage. It usually runs on an engine producing around 40 to 50 horsepower. This gives it the power of a heavy-duty riding lawnmower. It is a genuine, real-world application of bringing aviation to the working-class man. But looking at its incredibly fragile wooden frame, you have to wonder how it survives the rough turbulence of the open sky without snapping like a small dry twig. Thousands of American men built these incredible little machines, fulfilling their ultimate blue-collar aviation dreams on a strict budget. It became a massive phenomenon, proving that personal flight was not just for the wealthy elite. But if flying a tiny wooden box built in your living room sounds a bit too risky to you, you might want to brace yourself. Our next classic aircraft strips away the enclosed cockpit entirely, leaving you totally exposed to the rushing wind and the terrifying open sky above. Moving right along, we have the Baker Supercat, a magnificent design created by John Baker. The Supercat is a parasol monoplane that looks like it flew straight out of a classic 1920s black and white cartoon. It is a true masterpiece of vintage nostalgia built for pure enjoyment. There is no heavy enclosed cabin and absolutely no complex modern avionics inside. It operates on a small, simple engine, usually around 50 horsepower. This pushes the lightweight frame through the air at a leisurely 80 miles per hour. When you fly the Supercat, you are not isolated from the sky, you are completely submerged in it. The wind is constantly blasting your face, you can smell the raw exhaust of the engine, and you can lean right over the side to look straight down at the earth below. It was built as a practical escape for purists who hated the sterile, enclosed feeling of modern cabins. But seeing how exposed the pilot is, you definitely have to question the safety during bad weather. John Baker originally designed this plane because he wanted to capture the magic of barnstorming without the massive costs associated with antique biplanes. It is charmingly bare bones, delivering a true throwback experience to the golden age of early aviation history. However, if you think the Supercat gives you an intense open-air experience, you have not seen anything yet. The next aircraft on our list takes that exact concept of outdoor flying and pushes it to a terrifying new level of absolute, complete physical exposure. Born in the late 1990s, the Aerolite 103 is not so much a traditional airplane as it is an aluminum lawn chair strapped to a spinning propeller and a parachute. This machine legally falls under the strict Part 103 ultralight regulations. This means it weighs less than 254 pounds empty, holds a maximum of 5 gallons of fuel, and amazingly, does not even require a licensed pilot to fly. It uses a small two-stroke engine pushing around 28 to 40 horsepower. Now, carefully look at the visual profile of this contraption. There is no fuselage, there are no doors, there is literally no floor beneath your feet. The pilot sits entirely outside the aircraft structure, fully exposed to the open sky. With no cabin and zero physical protection from the elements, how does the pilot not freeze to death or get completely blown off the tiny seat in a strong gust of wind? It takes serious, undeniable nerves to trust an aluminum tube at 3,000 feet. The Aerolite 103 became insanely popular because it offered the cheapest, most visceral way to conquer the sky, selling thousands of kits to thrill seekers nationwide. Before we move on, do me a huge favor and hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell to help YouTube show these incredible machines to more people. So, sitting completely outside the plane is undeniably crazy. But our next entry puts the pilot inside a metal tube, barely wider than your own shoulders, and powered by a very familiar car part. This brings us to Maury Hummel's legendary creation, and it is a marvel of sheer engineering audacity. The Hummelbird is an all-metal aircraft so ridiculously tiny that you do not really step into it. You practically wear it like a metal suit. The fuselage is so incredibly narrow that broad-shouldered pilots actually have a very hard time squeezing inside the cockpit. But the most shocking and brilliant part of this entire machine is the unique power plant hiding just behind the small metal nose cone. It does not use an expensive, purpose-built aviation engine. Instead, it is powered by a classic air-cooled Volkswagen Beetle engine that has been literally chopped in half. That is right. It uses only 2 cylinders and a custom-machined crankcase, producing roughly 30 to 35 horsepower. It is a highly practical solution for cheap, efficient flying. But honestly, can you imagine trusting your life to half of a German car engine from the 1970s? It sounds like a perfect recipe for a mid-air mechanical disaster. Despite the obvious skepticism, Hummel's design proved incredibly safe and won numerous awards at major experimental aviation shows. He survived a horrific plane crash in a different aircraft, which inspired him to perfect this ultra-light, ultra-cheap metal bird. Trusting your entire life to half a car engine is a wild concept for any pilot. But what if your personal aircraft did not have any wings at all? Prepare yourself, because we are about to step out of the garage and into the realm of modern science fiction. Moving far away from the dusty backyard garages, we now enter the ultra-wealthy world of Silicon Valley billions. Backed heavily by Google co-founder Larry Page, the Kitty Hawk Flyer was an extremely ambitious, multi-million-dollar attempt to finally create the legendary personal flying car. It was an electric vertical takeoff and landing machine, completely ditching traditional aviation fuel for massive lithium batteries. It featured an array of 10 powerful electric lift fans. This system was designed to revolutionize how regular people commute across lakes, rivers, and open private properties. Visually, it looks exactly like a futuristic jet ski levitating on massive drone fans. There are no wings, no enclosed cabin, and no conventional airplane controls. You straddle the seat just like riding a motorcycle, hovering over the water using extreme fly-by-wire computer stabilization. Critics immediately ask terrifying questions. What happens if the complex software glitches or a battery catches fire mid-flight? You have zero glide capability, meaning a total system failure would immediately send the rider plunging violently straight down into the water below. It was a highly controversial project that generated massive internet hype, but ultimately, it could not overcome regulatory and technical hurdles. Despite the massive funding and incredible sci-fi appeal, the project completely crashed and burned in the corporate world. This proves that revolutionizing aviation takes more than just tech money. From billionaire science fiction dreams, we now move back to the humble wooden shed for a completely different kind of pocket-sized machine. This next tiny airplane savagely defies gravity through pure old-school aerodynamic violence and extreme pilot skill. Designed back in the 1960s by brilliant Australian engineer John Corby, the Starlet looks exactly like a beautifully crafted wooden toy plane. It is significantly smaller than a standard compact car, weighing only about 400 pounds empty. It is powered by a modified Volkswagen engine or a small Jabiru engine pushing around 60 to 80 horsepower. With a wingspan of only 18 feet, it is a tiny, nimble machine. It was built specifically for high-stress, high-adrenaline amateur aerobatics and incredibly sharp, aggressive aerial maneuvers. Do not let its charming, delicate wooden appearance fool you for a single second. How can a tiny frame made entirely of spruce wood and plywood handle the violent G-forces of loops, barrel rolls, and snap rolls? The structural integrity required to pull extreme maneuvers in an aircraft this incredibly small is absolutely mind-boggling. It takes a pilot with absolute, unshakable faith in their own carpentry skills to take this wooden thing upside down at over 130 miles per hour in the sky. John Corby originally entered this design into a competition and, amazingly, it did not win first place. However, builders around the world fell in love with its performance, making it a legendary staple in amateur aerobatics communities globally. Performing extreme aerobatics in a tiny wooden plane is intense, requiring massive courage and focus. But if you want to talk about truly radical, mind-bending designs, wait until you see an aircraft shaped exactly like a folded paper airplane, completely constructed out of heavy, welded steel tubing. Stepping fully into the 1960s, John Dyke designed an experimental aircraft that quite literally stopped traffic wherever it went. The Dyke Delta JD2 is a heavy machine compared to our previous entries, with an empty weight around 1,000 pounds. It is powered by a massive 180 horsepower Lycoming engine. It uses a radical delta wing design with absolutely no traditional horizontal tail surfaces. It was built for efficient, high-speed cross-country cruising. It can reach speeds of nearly 200 miles per hour up in the clouds. Visually, it looks exactly like a bizarre UFO saucer or a military stealth fighter built 3 decades too early. Engineering skeptics at the time simply could not believe their eyes. With no tail and a wide, flat triangular body, how does this heavy metal triangle not stall and fall out of the sky like a brick during slow landings? The secret lies in the extreme aerodynamics. It generates lift across the entire flattened body of the aircraft, essentially turning the whole fuselage into one massive wing. John Dyke designed it with another unbelievable practical feature. You can fold the wings back and physically tow it backwards down the highway behind your station wagon, exactly like a camping trailer. This UFO turned heads and caused absolute confusion at every airshow it ever attended. But if a flying UFO-like plane seems extreme to you, our runner-up is going to blow your mind. Get ready for a terrifying needle-nosed bullet that was built from scratch for one singular purpose: That is pure, unadulterated, and extremely lethal straight-line racing speed. Forget everything you currently know about small, kit-built airplanes. The Nemesis NXT is a sleek carbon fiber monster designed by John Sharp with one singular and aggressive goal: to absolutely dominate the grueling Reno air races. It is powered by a highly modified twin-turbocharged Lycoming engine, pushing well over 350 horsepower. It is a highly advanced racing machine that is tightly wrapped in an aerodynamically flawless cowling. This is not a weekend cruiser. This is a highly weaponized racing platform, designed to break every existing record. Visually, it is a literal missile with tiny razor-thin wings. You have to ask yourself, how does a tiny garage-built two-seater completely outrun commercial airliners? Because the incredibly aerodynamic Nemesis NXT can shatter straight-line speeds of over 400 miles per hour. Flying this beast is not for the faint of heart. It terrified even veteran military combat pilots with its relentless, crushing G-forces around the tight racing pylons. One wrong twitch on the control stick at 400 miles per hour, and it is instantly game over. John Sharp and his team dominated the racing world, setting record after record and making the Nemesis NXT a terrifying legend in the aviation community. The Nemesis represents peak speed, operating on the absolute ragged edge of fixed-wing flight capability. But if strapping yourself into a 400-mile-per-hour carbon fiber missile seems like the most extreme thing a human can do, our final entry throws away the airplane concept entirely. Prepare yourself for a machine that turns the pilot into an actual living aircraft component. This is it, the absolute climax. The most extreme, shocking, and sensationally bizarre personal flying machine on the planet today. The Copter Pack is a modern Australian invention that completely blurs the line between a human pilot and a functional aircraft. It operates entirely on high-capacity battery packs, powering two massive electric motors. These motors spin large carbon fiber rotors. They generate enough raw thrust to lift a fully grown adult straight up into the air. It is a stunning real-world application of heavily scaled-up drone lifting technology. Visually, there is absolutely no cockpit. There is no protective fuselage, and there are certainly no wings. The brave pilot literally wears the heavy aircraft gear like a backpack. When you strap into this harness, you look less like a traditional aviator and exactly like Marvel's Falcon or an actual sci-fi cyborg. Let us seriously talk about the extreme danger factor here. You have two massive high-speed rotors spinning violently, just inches away from your unprotected head. One simple mechanical failure and things get incredibly dark. Because there are no wings, this machine has zero glide ratio. If you suffer a complete electrical failure while hovering high above the trees, you will drop instantly like a heavy stone. Yet, when test flight videos of this incredible machine first hit the internet, it completely shocked the world. It vividly proved that the crazy futuristic jetpack dreams of the 1950s are finally coming true. It is absolutely terrifying, it is undeniably brilliant, and it is the ultimate final expression of personal human flight. We have seen wooden garage projects, car-powered metal tubes, and human-sized electric drones. They all represent humanity's relentless, crazy obsession with defying gravity. Now, I have to ask you, which one of these machines did you find the strangest? Which one would you actually risk your life to fly? And is there a shocking tiny aircraft that I completely missed? Let me know down in the comments. Hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell. Because next week we are looking at the most dangerous heavy tractors ever built.